taken out the little bar that used to go into the stud. Well, what I did is, one of the studs I could actually save, but it had to be instead sewn in. It was that one there. That one I had also sewn in. And then that one, I think I had sewn in. Well, no, I managed, that stud had been conserved. But then, that one broke, this stud. So I thought I would still figure out a way to have a button there. And this stud in the front most broke, but only the top part, so I thought I would screw it in before starching it. Once starched, I tried buttoning it, it was impossible to, super hard, see how hard it is. So today, just before leaving, instead of wearing that soft one, unstarched one, there I replaced all the buttons because all the studs were lost or gone. So I actually sewed those buttons on, but I can't starch it, but you will understand, because these two were intact. This is actually the stud I managed to insert through that metal bar. This is not the original stud, metal bar there. The original stud got lost a long time ago. So these two went buttoning, and that one I managed to button. This stud, the frontmost part of it, so this is actually sewn. This is the original stud that I sewed it onto. One can see it in the back, it's sewn there. So this opens up. The frontmost top of it would not actually button, would not actually screw in, so basically it means it is completely broken. So I saw, damn it, it is all buttoned. It took me ages and damaged my fingers and nails to button them, so I just left it. And I saw at least 3 of them are buttoned, but then when it's bending, these two I barely bent to walk. They popped out and broke. So now I'm very frustrated because I took more than an hour starching this, and the only way to sew them back on would be to unstarch it, and also then I would not starch it again in order for them not to break again, and I would just weld it soft like this one. Or I have to find new studs, or new old studs that hopefully will not break, or also they used to get lost because the eyelet is very long. So it is very frustrating. So thus I wore a softer one, which is also more comfortable and less warm. And obviously, since I sewed in all these same similar buttons that also sew in the back and are thus more likely to break from the thread, I have learned the lesson and I will not bother myself starching it, because obviously it will just, if it is stiff, it will just break again once buttoned and as soon as one bends. So I'm told that these are not accurate from 1890s. I'm not going into the details why, but clearly I know they do not date from, but they would pass, they would not be exactly the same, but they would really pass from even 1907 if you want to do like a very avant-gardist, young, probably more Eastern Northern American, from northeastern states of America. If you want to do the more common upper class or upper middle class person, these would be late 1910s, I would say 1917 at the earliest, especially for Britain, to 1925, really. Which is actually from whence these, I'm quite certain, actually date. And they came with the sheds. So these are actually French, but British ones would be rather undifferentiable. And so these were meant to be starched, for some people with them without starch. So there. I also wanted to wear the other ones because these I sewed golden buttons to them, and also it is almost too large. But actually with the very starched shed and waist cincher below, it almost looks as if it is the right size, so it is fine. But still, it also is not appropriate for mourning, even in the bar, because at least a white, understandable, it is so hard one desires a white waistcoat, but it is not accurate to have those buttons, which are golden. So now, what is going on below? A lot of things. This is where really it gets hard to put on and take off and to even maintain. Really the undergarments, because a lot of undergarments are going on here if you are a foppish man like me. So, first of all, the shed is like cardboard. I can't make it more stiff than this, but with the humidity, because I wore it twice since, or let us say once, I wore it like one day, it got softer, in a way, thank heaven. The bosom is super thick. The bosom is probably at least 3 layers. It's probably 4 layers. It's actually 4 layers, including a thick marcella layer in the front and a thicker linen in the back. and so it gets stiff like bloody hell. So, and the cuffs too, the cuffs are made the same way. The collar is a bit less stiff, but still super stiff. I talked about that collar in detail in another playlist I will eventually post when it's upon opening it. This is a British collar, but in all likelihood not from the 1890s, but more from 1910 to 1930. But it can be, it could have been existent. And it would have, I mean, by it could have existing, I mean it could have existed an exact collar like that. The same style, the same cut, the same number of plies, the same way of starching, I guess, and the same type of material precisely, the same type of linen. So, the trousers, because it is Dubai, I really need it in order, because I don't want to get too many things, because then it becomes even more of a hassle to take care of it and all. So I wanted to pack and wear all year round. And so also it had to be cotton because it is Dubai, or very thin wool, but did not have that back then, and all the cotton ones for reasons explained in the why all Victorian originals existing still black. I explained why it would not be cotton, the still existent ones, and so they had to be either made or a company that already makes reproductions, imitations. So this is Schoolie, what's it called, the brand Schoolie. These are still second hand, because I only want second hand items, and actually they have been used and dust are not very black anymore, but sort of faded. So I got them at only $30, but obviously more. I got them at actually $60 in total, 60 euros precisely, or $60, because with the shipping cost and the expensive VAT fees that France takes, the other ones are quite cheap. They also have a handkerchief. So the handkerchief is not technically, I guess they had those patterns and they certainly had that cut back then. So this is to wipe my sweat off, not to blow my nose in. I use, and so these actually belong to the father of my mother. He had them all burned, so after my grandmother died, I took all the handkerchiefs. So technically they have a precise material and that precise pattern. The edges are not sure, but sort of who cares. And obviously the trousers, I will go into details. So in the 1890s gentleman dressing, or I think the playlist was entitled Gentleman Dressing 1890s style, whatever. I have a Frontal Classic pair, which I put away, and this I'm going to try another blend, because in America they make a lot of those old west clothing, and there are many more people there, so a lot more available online things, and thus a lot more available second hand of those modern imitations that have already been bought perhaps 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago max, which have then resold either as new or already worn. I want to call them imitations. These, for all intents and purposes, really could be called reproductions, but in the absolute, especially, really the only thing that shows they could not be from that either. Tag apart, because the tag is actually washable and not generally leather, but just forget the tag, because there's a microscopic tag there. It's very dissolving to use a modern sewing machine, so it does a different stitch than what cowboy trousers would actually have been stitched as. They would have been stitched with probably a singer's sewing machine. But the cut is probably copied after originals, and all the details are there, especially where I will talk about them on my Instagram. Usually imitations or reproductions, whatever you want to call them, do not have the spikes for the waist cincher, but that one does, which is what actually was most common then. So this is more accurate than the vast majority of imitations out there for that reason. I actually prefer Frontal Classics because if you are like me, it takes a lot of time finding these pieces and all, and in case you gain weight or whatever, and wear a lot of layers like me, the high-waisted it is so much easier for a ton of reasons. First of all, when I wear that waistcoat, for example, and imagine it had been shorter, this is almost too short. It is technically theoretically too short.